of me, you will have to punch me and give me a push.
Okay, so we're live with MathPig on Demolished Doctrine. Welcome to Eden, MathPig. Peace and respect. We were just talking off air about a live stream that's done in support of people in need, involving Jim Majors and what was the other 2-3 you named?
Well, right now at the minute, it's not actually in any sort of charity except talk about the stream that's going at the minute is called Kinky Conversations, Consent, and BDSM. But it's they usually do. There's a group that they do 24-hour streams. They do charity streams. They've helped a few people get a car when they had an accident. They've helped people with their medical streams. And Jill, hi, Jesus is Lord. Nice to talk to you as always. But friends of Jim Majors, I don't know if you know the Lavender Lady. We've got Silver Liana. We've got Jim Majors as well. Same all the time. Big love for Jim. But yeah, as you can see from my name, you haven't got the labels up, man. You need to pop my label up. It's MathPig, not so sober.
Oh, interesting. Well, I don't know why it isn't showing there. Gosh, I really don't know how to do that.
Well,
if it's not up there automatically when I brought you into the stream, it should have come up automatically. I don't know why it wouldn't.
It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter that much. It's amusing, though. I love your sense of humor, actually.
Thank you very much, Reece. I appreciate your honesty, your no bullshit, and you call out. You call out the same sort of things as we would call out. If you can't prove it, you don't know it.
That's right. That's right. I'm actually very off-put by most Christians, the things that they have to say that are not based in Bible and exegesis is almost strictly eisegesis, and they say things that are just, impossible to reality, and that really bothers me because they're pushing people away. Maybe they're able to believe things that aren't plausible in reality. Personally, I'm not able to believe those things.
You see, that's what I like about yourself, Richard, because from a Christian point of view and from maybe an atheist or whatever point of view, sometimes stuff you say is fucking mad, but at least you're consistent.
I'd like to hear some of it, actually, because that gives me a chance to talk about some of it in some depth. And I'm picking up your accent. I didn't mean to do that. It's not an insult.
No, that's fine, man. That's fine. I'm not. Yeah, I speak too fast.
No, I don't think you speak too fast at all. I understand you very well, except for some colloquial words that you use, of course. And I just ask. I'm not shy.
My daughter was taken into the out of hours doctors less than half an hour ago, and she went in to get her gums are bleeding. She hasn't been eating this week. It's nothing serious or anything like that. There, she's got what we, as you say, I colloquially refer to from where I'm from as a dirty mouth.
Dirty mouth.
Yeah, she's been lifting stuff up off the ground. She's 2-year-old. She's been lifting stuff up off the ground. She's been eating them. She's been touching things, touching her mouth. She's got an infection in her mouth. She hasn't been eating, and simple case of antibiotics, and it's done. And I referred to it as a dirty mouth this last 2 days. My woman hadn't a fucking clue, and I wanted to go get this, that, and the other as old-fashioned, as we would call, granny remedies. And she was like, no, we'll wait for the doctors. And the quickest she could get was 10 past fucking 1 GMT time, AM, as an out of hours doctor appointment, because she hasn't been sleeping the night, and she was waiting for one tomorrow, but she made an emergency appointment for tonight. And they went in and they give her antibiotics, and exactly the same antibiotic, as I said, amoxicillin. I told her that's all they'll fucking give her. No, we'll wait for the doctor. I was like, I have them in the cupboard. We'll break them in half. We'll give her a half. No, we'll wait for the doctor. I was like, right, okay.
Oh, wait, how accurate were you? Was it exactly the half dosage for the child?
I haven't seen the dosage, but it was the exact same antibiotic. Mm-hmm. As I don't know if you know or not, but my woman lives 2 hours from me, so I'm not right beside them. I can't see the dosage box, but she does have to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning, and my woman likes 10 hours of sleep, and she has to get up at 8 in the morning, and went at 10 past 1 in the fucking morning and sat for a half hour in the doctor's to go and find out that I was right. great.
That you're right in the first place. Don't you hate it when that happens when you're right? Don't you just hate that?
My woman does, especially, yes.
Only if she's arguing. When she's agreeing, I'm sure she's fine with you being right.
Oh, no. Happy wife's a happy life.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I wish I could have been more successful in that. I had a 17-year marriage that, well, I look back and I say what I did wrong, but I don't know that that's all that I did wrong. There was probably more.
Everybody makes mistakes, man. I was, before my girlfriend and child that I'm in with now, I was in a relationship for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
We were engaged, everything, the whole lot. So, things happen, shit happens. I'm happier now than I ever was because me and my girlfriend that we were at now, we communicate, we talk,
mm-hmm.
and communication is key. The fact that she lives 2 hours away from me, if we're in a car together, the only option she has is talk to me or barrel roll out of a car at 60 miles an hour. She's stuck in the car with me for 2 hours. We have to talk about things.
So far, she's chosen not to barrel roll out of the car. Okay, so far so good.
Well, she's lifted a knife a few times, and I've got a few slaps, but she hasn't barrel rolled out of the car. No.
That's hilarious.
We fight, we row, but if you don't fight and row, you can't get the makeup. And at the end of the day, as absence makes the heart grow fonder and all the rest of it. If you don't get the badness, you don't get to enjoy the goodness of things.
I think there's value in that. Yeah. So, so you were telling us earlier something about your background and something to do with your parents and how your parents split up, and that was the beginning of your religiosity.
Well, that set me on the path of, aiming away from religion. I was very enjoyable about it. I enjoyed it. I went twice on a Sunday. I went to the Sunday school that they had for the children. I went for the evening Sunday church that they had. I also went on a Wednesday for Bible classes, and then I went to Friday. And the Friday thing was just hanging out. We generally went to what you would call as the pastor, the main leader of the church. We went to his house and we watched ice hockey and had pizza, played Monopoly. We just sort of hung out on a Friday. It was a bit of crack, as we would call it, CRAIC, not as the white powder, but we had the crack, we bantered. It was a bit of fun, and as I said earlier, when that instance happened with my mother and father breaking up, I asked for help and didn't achieve it, so it set me down that path, and it didn't necessarily direct me straight away from it. My girlfriend at the time was still religious. She was she attended a church in a fucking hotel, like one of them function rooms,
Mm-hmm.
And I went with her for maybe a year or so. And then I went full goth, white makeup, nail varnish, black lipstick, the whole lot. I grew up. Oh, yeah, it was Satanic Panic sort of time. Yes, yeah. So it was that, and there was a few of us. And if you listen to Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath and Metallica, you basically worship the devil. So there was that. And after a while, sort of caught myself on, thought more about it, and realized that you can't go either way. There's no evidence either way. So as it stands now, I would consider myself agnostic. So,
would you define agnostic? Because that can be varied.
Oh, sitting on the fence. Yeah, shit scared of picking either side in case you're wrong. Let's be honest about it.
I like honesty.
Yeah, there's no evidence. Personally, I think that the Christian God, if you go by the Bible and certain points of view, it can be proved that it is contradictory. And, I would be atheistic towards the Christian God, but agnostic as general. After the whole goth stage, I spent an awful lot of time sort of believing in the Akashic field. The Akashic field, do you know of that?
I know a little bit, but I'd appreciate if you expounded on it.
Well, it's sort of the basic idea that the entire universe is one big energy field, and consciousness exists as a whole thing. You become part of it. There's no God, there's no nothing. Very theistic sort of idea. spend an awful lot of time thinking about that. But then, you grow up, you get old, you think more about it, you think a wee bit deeper, and then you can't prove fuck all. So you sit in the fence and call yourself agnostic.
I think it's an honest position. I personally have a problem with the idea of a deistic, non-conscious God. When I ask people about their personal experience, and what I mean is beyond the likelihood of things happening, beyond biases, that pure chance would not justify some of these happenings that people normally encounter in their lives by, I don't know, age 30 or whatever, where we have these labels for things, like we call it serendipity, coincidence, karma. We have a lot of labels like that. But then when I ask them about the details, they start saying that there is decision being made within these idea systems, within karmic idea systems, that there's a benefit from karma if they believe in karma. And I ask them, well, doesn't that mean that karma is making a decision? And usually a person will say, yes, that suggests that the universe or the universal energy or the universal consciousness is making a decision. So I asked them for an example of something that's non-conscious that made a decision. And I've never had anyone be able to answer that. And I think that's because that a non-conscious can't make a decision.
Well, I would agree with that statement. You can't make a decision if you're not conscious. But,
right.
The same stance, man. I don't know if you knew me through my original name, which was Math Magic.
Pagan. Yeah.
The reason being for that, math is science, as in I believe in that. Magic, as in I've experienced shit that you've experienced, that you're talking about and making an example of, that can't be explained by any sort of means, outside of there's a supernatural. I've experienced that on numerous occasions. I would make the statement, which would be a very broad brush, but my mother's side of the family comes from a family of witches, and not spells and things like that, but more in tune with nature, so to speak. My mother would describe herself as spiritually Christian. That's her own definition. She doesn't go to church or anything like that. She believes in Christ and shit like that. But she also believes that, man, I've experienced things, and that's where the magic comes from. And then pagan, sorry to be blunt, but the way I always described it, I ain't no fucking Christian. It's not to be. I
get it.
You get it, yeah,
I really get it. I mean, I call myself a Christian for lack of a better word, because it seems that all the best labels are already taken. So I'm willing to take the brunt of being accused of being a Christian, and I'll just disprove that I'm a normal Christian later. And what I mean by normal Christian is I don't have to say, as most Christians do, they believe that what their text is describing is that their God is a horrible monster whom they love anyway. Well, I in context, I don't see that being described in the book, that it's not talking about those things, that it's actually a spiritual book talking about spiritual situations. So because of that, I don't have to be able to make that statement. I believe that our Father, and I'm not trying to push that on you or accuse you or anything like that. No. But I believe that what we're talking about is the whole human race Father, and that being is actually more informed than we are, and doesn't have problems that we would bring out of ourselves and push onto that being, problems like prejudices, hatred, misunderstanding, frustration, disappointment, things like that just are not plausible. It wouldn't make any sense. So I don't think that those things are true, nor would that being be murderous or require praise and need a pat on the back. It simply wouldn't make any sense. And in context, that's actually not what those stories are talking about. So I don't have to be able to bend my morality to accept a spiritual expression. And I call myself Christian mostly because I'm in the United States, and that's what people understand best, which is not the same as me saying that other religious expressions don't have value. I'm not prejudiced like that. I actually see the same stories everywhere, but you have to loosen up your mind a little bit and understand where those people are coming from in their social structures and how everything would have to be explained different according to their social structure. So, I mean, talking to Marty Camejo, she says she's a witch. And according to Christian doctrine, I'm supposed to, I don't know, abolish her.
You're supposed to burn her at the stake, man.
Right. Something like that. Now, if that's what I thought the text was saying when it says suffer ye not a witch to live, if I thought that's what it meant, I would reject the whole Bible based on that one line.
Man, like my wee girl is 2.5, and about a year and a half ago, she woke up in the middle of the night, and as kids do, kids do.
Too much energy.
Yeah, well, she's generally a good sleeper. She sleeps most of the nights and stuff. But there was just one moment where you sort of connect, and I knew that she'd had a nightmare, and I was up with her. I sat with her, didn't read a book or anything like that. Just sort of sat and talked, tell her and stuff. And I came down the stairs and I said to the girlfriend, and I was like, she had a nightmare and stuff like that. And she's like, you don't know that she had a nightmare. And I was like, no, I did, because I talked to her and we, sort of had a moment, so to speak, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Where you connect with your child, and regardless of it being your child or anything like that. But my wee girl's ginger with blue eyes. You look it up online. I think it was Google was 0.01.7% of that fucking shit happened.
Pretty slim. Yeah.
It's slim, and there's no blue eyes in my family. There's no blue, and regardless, I'm talking shit. Everybody makes excuses for their daughters and their daughters.
Yes, your child is special. Yeah.
My wee girl is brilliant. But there's a long line in my mother's side of the family of ginger girls being witches. And the fact that she has blue eyes being a witch, blue eyes being ginger, my mum's all this, that, and the other, and all the rest of it. And I said this to my mom. It's sort of a connection, and I would lean towards a wee bit of supernatural. And I would say supernatural as a term like dark matter or dark energy. We use that term to describe something we don't understand. 100 years down the line, we might be able to find out that we've got crazy, wired, different types of brains that can pick up on things, and there's a scientific reason for it. At the moment, it's called supernatural. But I ramble.
No, you're fine. You're fine. And no, you make a good point. At one point, why the sun heated up a dark colored rock on the ground was supernatural. That is, we didn't have a way to test it. We didn't understand what was going on there.
Yeah.
So I think when we say words like supernatural, what we're really saying is, I don't have a test for that.
My mother will swear to you on a stack of Bibles, and she believes in it, as I've said to you, that when she had an accident, there was a woman in the hospital that she was put in the bed with, and the woman died on the first day. And the woman was very friendly. My mum went in on the first day, and as a child, went over and said hello and all the rest of it, being a kid and being interactive and stuff. And my mother will swear to you, as I say, on a stack of Bibles, that woman, after she died, hung about for 3 days and talked to my mum and made my mum feel more comfortable in the hospital when she was alone. And the moment my mother told her mother about her friend who had stayed with her, and my granny said to her, that woman's been gone for a couple of days, the woman never come back again.
He just froze up. Let's see if he comes back. I think we lost connection on his end because I'm still alive.
Can you hear me? I'm still bouncing.
You're back. You're back. Go ahead. And when she told her sister, I think?
No, she told what would be my granny, her mother, that she had, a friend being with her and was making her feel more comfortable. That woman then never come back again, And as Bill Ashby is in the chat, he has heard many a chat and many a conversation where I've explained these things. And, there's a lot of stories from my mum's side of the family. I do apologize, man. I'm having problems with my internet. I got new hubs and new wiring, and it seems to be flickering. I've got a guy coming out on Wednesday to have a look at it. So it might be my fault. It's not probably your fault.
Well, it could interrupt you 3 times more often and you'd still be very interesting and cogent. Yeah, I think that every family knows of stories, has their own stories of these kinds of occurrences. I think certain people just won't talk about it. I think they're scared to really talk about it, especially Christians who believe that this is some kind of a demonic force.
Well, yeah, well, that's it. My mother and her side of the family never seen it as a demonic force. They refer to it as the gift. It's sort of a touch, sort of, the shining sort of thing. Like,
right.
It's not something that's evil. It's just something that it's hard to find the word, maybe bestowed upon them.
Well, it's been my experience that all average, what we would, I hate to use the word normal because what's normal mean, but all normal adults, and it seems to me that when a child self-realizes is when that changes, that they realize themselves. They also realize others in a new way, probably somewhere between ages 5 and 10, I think. Usually, although there are exceptions, there are extremely bright children whose brains develop faster for whatever reason I don't understand.
Yeah, like maybe we go.
They seem to, before that, they seem to be missing 2 things. And I think the human animal is simply missing 2 things. And those 2 things are accusation and forgiveness. That they don't have cause or need for accusation and forgiveness. But as soon as they realize themselves, they also realize the value of accusation and forgiveness, also what truth means, also what a lie is. And all that seems to happen practically overnight.
You see, between the ages of 1 and 5 is the best time to mold the wee girl. Or mold your child. Or, it's when their brain is like a sponge between the ages of 1 and 5. If you don't put in the inquisitiveness, if you don't put in the discipline, if you don't,
Sure.
Without saying I'm fucking manipulating and controlling my wee girl.
You better be.
Oh, yeah, definitely, man. Yeah,
You better be. I mean, I truly believe the word rod, like acre or fathom, as a form of measurement, that the saying to spare the rod is to spoil the child is a true thing. If you don't teach a child how to measure things.
I don't like that phrase because generally, and if you listen to maybe different scholars and stuff like that, the rod is discipline. Now, I have no problem with discipline. My wee girl lifts 2 sweets in the shop and she's supposed to lift 1. I'll smack her hand and then I'll explain to her why she was wrong. And she's very, very good. Not 2 days ago, the woman in the local shop, whenever my wee girl and me went down, I bought cigarettes and the wee girl picked up a chocolate bar. It was also the cheapest one in the shop. Good woman. And she handed it to the woman at the counter. And when she handed it back to her, my wee girl said, "Thank you." And the woman was like, "Oh, she's very well spoken." Manners is important, sure. But discipline is also important. You don't do what you're told, you get shouted at.
Well, I really think the word rod there means to show measurement, to teach measurement, not to hit a child with a stick.
No, nobody wants to hit their child with a stick.
I hope they don't want to. Well, some people think that's what it means, and they follow that as instruction, like it's commanded of them. They should do that. That's a good thing.
Man, I think there was a woman who drowned her kids in the bath because she wanted to spur them purgatory or something. People can believe whatever they want, but if you beat your child with a stick, you need to go to prison.
Yes, certainly true.
There's nothing wrong with disciplining your child, but I would rather have my wee girl afraid of as my woman calls it, the voice of God. I would scream and shout. I would rather be loud and scary than smack her. But sometimes she just, it's never extreme. But she's very well managed. She's very good. And not fucking 3 weeks ago, she lifted my woman's car keys. She went outside at my mum's house. She climbed into the front seat of the car, put the keys in the fucking ignition, took the car out of gear, and I found her dooting the horn, trying to reach for the pedals, going, "Look at me, Daddy."
Oh, it's hard to be mad, but yeah, I mean, you want to discourage it, but it's so cute, but dangerous.
If you'd have had a conversation with my woman, yeah, that was my fault for taking my wee girl out for spins in the ST. But I got a bollocking for that. Bollocking for that. But yeah, everybody thinks. Yeah, go on ahead. Sorry, Richard. Go on ahead.
Oh, it's quite all right. I'm just trying to understand your mind better and try to understand your position better. So I mean to make everyone my friend. So I want to understand.
You don't have to make me your friend. I'm already your friend. I hope I
consider you a great friend too. No, I consider you a friend. You are my friend.
We don't chat that much, but we have a lot of respect for each other, and I appreciate your honesty.
Well, you make that easy.
Thank you.
Yeah. What do you think of your? I'm sorry. I've only heard the story once. What do you think of your mother's experience of her friend dying that she recalled to your grandmother? Do I have that right?
It was just literally a lady that when my mother went into the hospital room back in the days, it wasn't kids' rooms, it was male and female rooms, you know. Okay. So she was put in a room beside an old lady. The old lady died. And according to my mother, she hung about for 2 or 3 days afterwards, making my mother feel more comfortable
with it. Yeah. So your mother was how old then?
Oh, she'd have been less than 15.
Oh, she's pretty young, yeah. But that would be pretty upsetting still.
There's lots of stories, you know. That one is just a very short one.
Mm-hmm.
There is lots of stories that I won't get into because if I talk about them now with a glass or two, a fucking bottle of wine in me.
Why lie about it?
Yeah, there's no point in lying about it. It'll sound just fucked up mad, you know. So.
Okay, so what do you think of that story? How do you feel about that personally, or what experiences do you have that would deny or confirm that?
Well, in context of other stories that I've heard from my mother, from my uncle, and my mother was one of 5 kids, and there was 3 in the family that would have stories, you know, that you could talk about.
Mm-hmm. I've had personal experience of things. Happened with my next older brother. We did not go to visit our great grandmother on a regular basis. It was just whenever Dad got a wild hair in his butt, we would go and visit.
A wild hair in his butt? What?
You like that expression? A wild hair in his butt.
Right. Yeah. Well, you need to explain that because that's one of them terms that I don't know.
Well, perhaps one fell off of his beard and made its way down into his pants, and it was irritating him.
So right.
That's what a wild hair in the butt means. So
he had to scratch his arse.
Yeah, it was just completely random. You could never predict it. And he would just get a notion, and we would go. So one day, my brother wakes up and he tells me of a dream that he had just had, and gave specifics about things that couldn't be coincidental. He named all of them in the correct order. And when the dream started out with us going to our great grandmother's house, which was, as I say, infrequent, although it did happen occasionally. But then he recalled to me a series of events. I watched them unfold exactly as he described.
I can give you that, man. I've started to actually record some of my dreams because as crazy as it sounds, and everyone can think what they want, considering that I've said I've had a bottle of wine, but I've explained, I said to Sammy, remember Sammy Jenkins? I've explained to him before in some of the Discord chats that we've had, but I don't sleep, man. You know, I generally would maybe sleep half an hour as a snooze after dinner, and then I would maybe sleep 2 or 3 hours a night. That's most of what I do. One day a week, I will take 12 hours and you'll not fucking find me. It's usually a Monday or a Tuesday. But I smoke, and I would smoke a lot of 420, and it kills your dreams medically. You know, it's proven and all the rest of it. And that one day a week, I would usually smoke very little, take a whole time off, you know, and then I would have my sleep. And I would usually dream, and I would have prophetic dreams. In my opinion, I have had experience of prophetic dreams to the point where I've started to record when I have a dream that would stand out and be real. Like, obviously, if you're standing at the top of the Eiffel Tower and you live in Northern Ireland, you can suddenly fly. There's no point in recording that because that shit ain't going to fucking happen. You know?
I have flying dreams as well. You know, that's deeply associated with happiness.
Well, I don't get an awful lot of them, but it was just an example I pulled out of nowhere. But as an example of something, when I was with my girlfriend, previous to the girlfriend I'm with now, I had a dream of I had a dream of my daughter. I had a dream of Elena, the exact way that she looks now. When she was a toddler, running about in this room, in this house. It's one of the reasons it looks similar. Whenever I was with the girlfriend, I bought the house and all the rest of it. And when I was with the girlfriend that I'm with now, and she found out she was pregnant, she knew for about 2 weeks before, but she gave me a Father's Day card at 3 minutes past 12 o'clock on Father's Day. It had just turned Father's Day, and she handed me a Father's Day card, and I looked at her and I goes, "Really?" And she goes, "Yes." And I go, "So we're having a wee ginger girl then?" Without hesitation, without anything. I knew that's, I had a dream that it was going to be a wee ginger girl. And she did. She turned out exactly, she was a wee ginger girl. She was blondish when she was born, and then she just got more and more orange. And I don't even call it ginger anymore. I call it sunburst orange. It's fucking brilliant, man,
Yes. Beautiful child. Beautiful child. Yeah, I think there's value in writing these things down. I've taken to doing that myself, so that when the person comes my way that it involves, I hand it to them.
Yeah, with writing it down, you have proof.
Like there's no way you can fake that.
Yeah. Now I do know. What do they call it? The Matrix movie. The fucking cat walked past twice.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call that?
Deja vu.
Deja vu. The scientific reason I think behind it in deja vu is something very similar happens to something that's happened before, and your brain can't make sense of it because it happened too quickly, and it uses previous memories to fill in the gaps, and that's why you get the whole sensation of deja vu. I understand that completely.
That's an interesting theory, but I think they're going to have a hard time actually showing that. I think that's not true. I
read that in Google Scholar paper one time, man, maybe about 7 or 8 months ago, and I'd be having a look at my previous. Google Scholar's awful good.
It's the best we have going right now. I agree with that.
Yeah, for people who know about it, a lot of people don't know about it, but I think I read it. I'll have a look and see. But it uses previous memories of something similar to fill in the gaps.
Sure,
and that's why you get the deja vu. It calls back in things, but I've had experiences that just can't be explained. That just are completely and utterly out of nowhere, out of the blue.
Certainly.
So that's why I'm sitting the fence agnostic.
Well, that's interesting. I like to ask people questions about consciousness, about information theory for exactly these reasons, because I ask them to explain their experience, because I know most adults have had something like what you're talking about. And I've yet to see someone who says, "Oh, I have no idea what you're talking about. I've never experienced anything like that." I haven't had that conversation, although I've tried several times to ask people those kinds of questions. So I would ask of you, if I receive information outside of my experience, not like deja vu like you just described, but it's actually, I've never had an experience similar to the intuitive idea that is in my head, the information that is in my head. I have no experience at all of it, and yet it still happens. Then certainly it couldn't be deja vu. So from what I can understand of how information exists, I can't have invented it, or it wouldn't be true. It can't be my imagination putting things together because it's never happened before. And then it unfolds in front of me and happens exactly that way. And I'm writing them down. I'm drawing pictures of them. I'm doing all kinds of things like that, depending if it's just straight information or if there's something visual that I can visualize about it. And then I show it in the moment, and it's true. Now, certainly that's beyond deja vu, wouldn't you think?
I would agree with you 100%, which is one of the reasons why I've started writing down my dreams as well.
Right on.
Because from my personal experience, I've seen this shit happen and read the papers and went, that could be deja vu. But without having it written down 6 months before, you can't say that it's not.
Right. It could be your brain putting together things, but if it's written down, you can't. And you date it, you seal it, you put it in an envelope, and you open it at the right time. There's no way to fake that. Yeah.
There's a story that I don't know. I'm a little embarrassed and I've been holding back from it, but at the end of the day, we're who we are. And
Sure.
Bill's heard this story, and a few other people have heard this story. But the reason that, as I say, my previous name was Math Magic Pagan, the magic in the middle always comes down to one story. It always boils down to one thing that happened, as you say, something that cannot be explained any other fucking way, no other way. The reason I've waited to this point to say it is to give you contact with my mother's side of the family and stuff like that. My granny owns 16 acres in the fucking middle of nowhere. It's got granite ground. You can't even get planning permission on it. The closest neighbor's like 5-6 miles away. It's out in the sticks, as we would call it. Mm-hmm. And as kids, I'm 36. Richard's probably only about 45. Looks well, good beard. No internet. You remember no internet, Richard? Yeah?
Yes, of course I do.
Yes. And boys being boys, there ain't no Pornhub. You have to go and fucking. No, seriously, man. You're laughing now. This is the reason, right? There ain't no Pornhub. There's nothing. You have to get an old porn magazine or something like that. Mm-hmm. And there's 6 or 7 of us in primary school. We're P7, we're 10, 11 years old, and we've got one porn magazine between 5 or 6 of us, all these boys, and we used to move it between person and person so nobody would get caught, it wouldn't be found. And it turned out that the primary school had found out about it. Someone had fucking blabbed. There's a whole thing going on. And I had hid it in the attic. I'd climbed up on top of the toilet in our bathroom, climbed up in the cistern, fucking put it up into the attic, just opened the attic door. When you push the wee attic door up, and slipped it fucking in.
Oh, sure.
Hidden there. Not seen for about a week or two. Nobody had it all passed over. And we had spent the day. My mother had recently met what I refer to now as my father, because he's been there longer than my actual dad was. Right. And she had recently met him, so she wanted to do the whole stories and go look at my land and, family and all that shit. So we went up to Baina Rocks, as it's known as, and my mum and what is now my father, Thomas, they did a walk round where she'd grown up and all the rest of it. Me and my brother ran around the fields, chased goats, all the fucking rest of it. And at 4 o'clock that night, man, my mother woke up and went up the stairs because she'd had a dream from her uncle who owned that land originally, who they'd done a tour of his house that day, out the back of his house and all, with the old water pump to try and get water. She'd spent the day on his land in and around his house. And she said that he came to her in a dream and told her exactly where it was hidden. Mm-hmm. And I got woke at 4 a.m. with a porn mag slapped in the face. What the fuck's this about? Is this what the school there's no reason in the world that my ma would wake up at 4 a.m. and she's down the stairs. She has her own bathroom. There's a bathroom closer to her down the stairs. There's no reason for her to get up at 4 a.m, walk up on the stairs in her nightie, in her house coat, climb up on top of the toilet seat, then the cistern and nearly the windowsill for her to get up into the fucking attic to pull that out of nowhere. And that's what it boils down to for the magic in the Math Magic Pagan. She had a dream. Her uncle.
For those who don't know, the cistern is the part of the toilet that holds water.
On top, yeah. But you get my point, man. I do.
That's not explainable. You can't just say, "Oh, mom's really good at guessing in the middle of the night while she's asleep."
Yeah, and I'm paraphrasing and shortening it to make it susceptible and easy to explain to your audience. But there's an awful lot more, and there's more context. There's more stories. But yeah, that's a short version. But that's why I don't pick either side and I sit in the fence, so to speak,
Yeah. Well, I think that what you're describing to me is understanding of something outside of our physical realm that you've experienced personally, that you've seen other people experience. And to say that you sit on the fence does not mean that you sit on the fence over whether or not that world exists, whether or not those experiences happen. But it sounds more to me that you're lacking definition for what's going on. Would you say that's accurate?
I wouldn't say lacking definition. I would say lacking evidence. You know, I believe the human mind is a hell of a lot more powerful than what we give it credit for. Have you ever seen the Iceman that can fucking swim underneath through, you know, the power of the mind? I have more belief in it than I would have in a higher being. I would have more belief in the inner person, the ability of the human body. You know, same as a placebo, man, you know.
But what if we're saying the same thing? What if what I'm talking about...
You're giving the power, but in saying that, man, you're giving the power to a higher being, and I'm giving the power to the person. To, you know, you control your mind, you control your body. If you control your mind, you control everything then.
No, that's a valid difference. Yeah, I can see that. Okay. Yeah.
You know, where you would give the ability to a higher power, I would just say that person has a higher ability to control their mind, therefore their body. And as we're talking about with the Iceman and medical reasons and things like that, to heal yourself. Like there's documentaries where they didn't believe what he could do. And he says, right, well, find me 10 people and I'll train them. And I think 4 out of the 10 actually achieved what he tried to do with the medical, you know, the white blood cell count and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. The only issue that I have with that is I've had experience of knowledge of things that were inanimate. Things that were definitely not conscious in a way that I can understand consciousness.
So I'm lost, as in you knew the rock loved you because it's unconscious.
No, not what I mean. Not what I mean. Like,
that seemed very facetious. I didn't mean that to be.
No. You're fine. You're fine. I'm not so tough. I'm not so gentle. I'll cry or anything. No, what I mean is, I've had experience of instantaneous knowledge without prior experience of that, the existence of some inanimate object's location, coloration, length. I mean, just really, really, really detailed things.
Yeah, something similar to what my mother, with more of a I would agree with you in that. I've had the prophetic dreams, something where you know that you've been there and you've seen the details and you're like, you know, you knew before you turned around, if you looked around, you would see a tree with a purple flower that had been caught in it from the wind. Before you turned around. You know, I've experienced that as well, which would be, again, with...
I mean, it's interesting that what your mother experienced was, you said uncle?
I've had... Well, my mother's had experiences. Her brother, which we were referred to as G, has had experience as well. Her sister, who is called A, has had experiences. And out of her, she's in a family of 5 kids. I have spoken to 3 of them and my mother, which would be 4. And at one stage, they actually seen a banshee at the bottom of the bed. And the only person they couldn't wake up was my mother because the banshee was brushing her hair with my mother's hairbrush. And I've spoken to 3 of the family plus my mum, which would be 4 out of the 5, and they'll all swear till it. And my mother wouldn't wake up, you know. And
I see, yeah,
you know, there has been other experiences other than.
Well, they must have been very frightened.
Oh yeah,
wow, that's scary.
There's lots of different stories, you know. My uncle will swear that he's seen the Grim Reaper on his way home from a bus from school. He's seen a man dressed in a black suit in a boiler hat. Bowler hat. Yeah. Very old school, sort of 1920 sort of style, knocking on what would be his uncle's door. And he went home, at his dinner, and was at his uncle's house that night and asked his uncle who it was. His uncle said there was nobody here the day. And 2 days later, his uncle turned up dead in his bed. Yeah. You know, there's lots of stories from that sort of side of the family. As I say, they come from a family of witches, touched, The Shining, you know, but they live in the country, out in the middle of nowhere, in the sticks. So you have to take that into account as well.
That maybe they have more time for concentrating on these things.
Oh man, electric only reached being a rocks in 1984. 1984, there was no electric before in 1984. As you can't build fuck all out there now. Like, it's the proper, but yeah. I digress. It's been good. We'll give it another 15 minutes. We'll have dragged it out for an hour, and then we'll have to go offline because I'm a little shy and making a fool out of myself.
No, I think you're saying things that people need to hear. I mean, you're empowering people to tell their own story.
Well, you would consider yourself a Christian. I would consider myself an agnostic, Christian atheist. So it's good that we both agree on a lot of things, yet we would both be on other sides of the fence on certain things.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem that I had growing up in my first experiences of what I would call prayer, and it may just be some higher function of the brain that we don't yet understand and we can't measure. It wasn't explained well by the Catholic Church when I was a child. It just wasn't explained that way. So even when I started experiencing it, I mean, I didn't have this problem. I didn't have problems of guilt or what have you. But a person could think there was something desperately wrong with them for a lack of a decent explanation and a lack of acceptance and a lack of love. And I think that's an atrocity. I think that's an atrocity against humankind that there's cartoons in the New Yorker magazine, which is a famous U.S. magazine, of the psychiatrist with the patient on the bed writing out a prescription. And the psychiatrist, instead of writing the prescriptions, writing things like, this guy's a total nut job. It's a bad joke, but we have these ideas, these voices in our heads, things that we don't want, things we never asked for, and things that are outside of our own personality types. And yet they happen. I mean, I can hardly accept that I am both a beautiful, loving genius and a horrible monster. I can't be
a stable genius. No, you are a very stable genius. Go on ahead.
No, I can't believe that I'm a beautiful genius and a horrible, evil monster at the same time. But that's been my experience of me. Well, I can't be both.
No, I totally agree with you, man. You can be both. At some point, you look outside and you look around, and like quite recently, I had a blowout on the car on the motorway at 70 miles an hour in the fast lane. Nearly lost control of the car.
Oh,
pulled over into the hard shoulder. Oh, it was hilarious because the girlfriend was shaking at the end of it, and I looked in the back seat, and the 2-year-old had slept through the whole fucking thing. It was fun. I swear to God. I say that as I swear to whatever. But it was hilarious because the wee girl comes out with me and I take her racing in the ST. It's hilarious. She goes wee. She thinks it's a roller coaster, but she slept through it all. That was fine. I had, no joke, a Gideon actually pull over and help me. I didn't find out to the end because he handed my woman a Gideon Bible, but he pulled over. He tried to help. Basically, all he did was stand there with a fluorescent jacket on so nobody could see it. That's all fine. The tire wrapped itself up around the axle and it was causing problems. So I needed to go and get a hacksaw, a set of snips, something to cut it off. So the Gideon, being a wonderful Christian that he is, directed me to the local Asda. I went in, got myself a Stanley blade. The problem I had, all of that's good and all of that's awful. But the one thing that set me off was I went into the Asda and it took me 20 minutes and I was the third person in the queue of a self-service because the people, sorry to say it, and you can think what you want, fuck me, these people were stupid. They're spending £35 and they have maybe 3 dinners. They can't figure out a fucking self-service. Both of them in front of me had to call for help that annoyed me. There's an awful lot of people out there that are no contribution to society, that are no contribution, to just make yourself better. They don't want to make themselves better rather than figure out.
I have to agree. Well, we're comfortable in what we think is real, and we like to hold on to that little bubble of comfort.
I blame the education system, the whole lot, man. I was standing in the Chinese the other night, and there was a newspaper there that was a week and a half old, and 2 out of 5 people from, I think it was the Sun newspaper from Britain, Sun newspaper from UK, and the way the education system is now, 2 out of 5 people leaving at 19 don't have a C level on the basic English, maths, and science and other other classes. You know, the education system is just repeat yourself, do what you're told. There's nobody told to be thinking. You don't need to go to university. Create a fucking job. Go become an entrepreneur. Think for your bloody self. You know, me and the girlfriend there not a month ago had a conversation about the way the education system is in this country. Like, my girlfriend's a Catholic. On paper and culturally, she's a Catholic. My best friend's a deist, thinks he's a Christian, but he's actually a deist, but we'll not get into that. He doesn't realize. But, you know, my daughter on paper is a Catholic because my girlfriend wants to do the things that she did when she was growing up, like the Holy Communion, like the Christian, you know, or the christening, you know.
Sure.
She admitted herself that they're mainly for family gatherings. But she's her family's from down south. They're all very religious. You know, her mum has her rosary in the fucking top drawer in the bed. Beside the bed. You know, they're very religious family. But when it comes to the education system in this country, the Catholic Church runs the Catholic schools. The Protestant schools are run by the government. My wee girl is on paper a Catholic, and because closer to her there is 4 Catholic schools and only 1 Protestant school, the fact that the Protestant schools are run by the government, they have to be secular, so to speak. So they have to accept Catholic, they have to accept Muslims, they have to accept everybody. The Catholic schools don't.
Right.
Like, no, we're Catholic, that's it. And a lot of them are boys only and girls only. And considering that where she lives, which would be it's a big city, so there's a lot of Protestant Catholic divide still going on. She has 4 Catholic schools close to where my girlfriend lives and 1 Protestant school, which means that if she doesn't get into the Protestant school, it's okay. There's 4 other schools you can get into. If she had been put in the birth certificate as either Protestant or else other, which is what I wanted to be, just leave it fucking damn thing blank, she had been put at the top of the list because she couldn't be accepted into the Catholic Church or the Catholic schools because they only accept Catholics.
Right.
You know, and that wee small thing, it's basically segregation in this country. You know, imagine America with black schools and white schools. It can be very similar. And I don't know. I rant, but it's just something that's on my mind. It's something that's very annoying because we were recently asked to register her for schools. We've obviously put the Protestant secular school at the top of our list, but you know, if there's more people that want it than when she's there, she's going to get put down that list, it's fucking stupid more than anything else. But yeah, I'm ranting. Jump in.
No, the best thing is that you're really spending a lot of time and effort and energy on the well-being of your daughter, and that's important.
Oh, you dare try and take her away from me, man. I fucking what do you call him, Peter and his milky neck or what?
Yeah.
You know, no. That's at the end of the day, your kids are always supposed to be the best of the parents and more. You know, you take what you've got and then you try and add to it.
Yeah. My adoptive daughter was pregnant for the first time, and she says to me, "Dad, I'm worried I won't be a good mother." I said to her, "Sweetheart, bad mothers don't have that thought."
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, that's a very poignant thought. The fact that you actually give a shit,
right,
makes the biggest fucking difference in the world. Like, you know.
Amen to that.
Don't get me wrong. My woman has said to me in multiple occasions that I have no consideration for my health or my daughter's, but I'm just pushing limits. You know, my wee girl has never been in danger of dying. She may be in danger of breaking an arm, but she's never been in danger of dying. You know, push it to the limit. Come jump with me. Come climb this tree. You know.
Yeah.
I don't want to breed fear. I'd never held a tarantula before in my life, and a girl in my class that I went to high school with had one as a pet and brought it into school on a regular basis. But when we went to a lizard sort of, you know, one of them wee places, like an open farm sort of thing, my girl had already fucking pulled the tail of a Komodo dragon and chased the fucking thing across it. And the woman had been like, oh, yeah, have you seen the tarantula? And my wee girl went over and tapped the glass, and I'll send you a picture and an email. There's me holding my wee girl on my right-hand side with a tarantula climbing up my left arm, because quite recently I'd said to the girlfriend when she'd seen a small spider, I said, you can't be afraid because you don't want to transfer your fear to the child.
The child, right.
Yeah, I got that thrown back in my face whenever there was a tarantula. You can't say no, you know. So I couldn't say no. And the funniest thing is, there was a woman that walked in, and I don't know if it was her child or the grandchild or whatever, but the wee girl was 3 or 4, and she had just walked into the wee room. She was like, let's go and see what the fuck. And she just turned and walked straight back out again, because there's me standing in the middle of the room with a fucking tarantula, you know. What the I'm out of here to fuck. But, you know, you don't transfer your fears to the child. You always,
right.
You know, my girls make me better.
Yeah. That's the most we can hope for. Let the child teach you.
Oh, she sets me the limits, man. We always try and do something on a Sunday. We didn't get to do anything this week because of the bad weather, but I like to take her to old places. 2 weeks ago, we went to a graveyard from the 1800s. Week before that, we went and walked the canal route. It's from, I think, 1810. You know, I like her to know history and old things, and she loves being outside. She does like her fucking Peppa Pig and her fucking Paw Patrol, but she loves being outside.
Well, once again, thank you so much for your time, and I think we should go ahead and wrap it up so you have some free time left today, and thank you so much for your work as a dad. I think you're super important.
No, I joke with the girlfriend because I would watch an awful lot of wee Maz documentaries, and I don't know if you've seen on YouTube Flat Earth, not Flat Earth. Of course you've seen Flat Earth. Flatland. There's a Mr. Science guy with a fucking he's got a cape and stuff. I'll send you a link, man. I would watch these with the girlfriend. It's like a cartoon version. It's really basic science, you know, but in a cartoon form for kids. And I would watch it with a daughter and stuff like that there. And I joke with my woman that fucking Elena is going to figure out quantum gravity. She's going to figure
we could use that. We could use to know what that really means. That would be great.
Oh, yeah. Everybody jokes and all, man. It's one of those things. She's going to be the new Einstein. She's going to figure out quantum gravity. I'm telling you. It's going to be drilled into her from a young age. Like, yeah. Even my fucking password, even my PIN number for my you're all listening now. Even my PIN number for the hole in the wall card is do you know when you take a number and you put it to the power of something? Like say if it talks 7 to the power of 0 is not.
Yes, I suppose it is.
Sorry, 7 to the power of 0 is 1. Anything to the power of 0 is 1. I fucking hope I'm right on this. But anyway, even my fucking PIN number is a mathematical pattern, man. That's the point I'm making. A lot of love, Richard. A lot of love. We nearly hit an hour. We're 2 minutes off an hour, but yeah.
Thanks for spending some time with me, man. I really appreciate it.
Richard, I appreciate this, man, because I've been trying to get my own channel going, and OBS is being an asshole. I don't want to use StreamYards because it's pretty basic. It doesn't have the chat coming up, and I like to see everybody's chat. You know, I'm sick of looking at Tart and Snowflake. You know, she's been up on the screen for ages. She's boring. He's boring. They're boring. Whatever it is. I'm only lining them up. They're actually quite cool. They made a fucking playlist with my name. But anyway, it's been annoying, man. It's I prefer to talk to someone. You know, I've been fucking playing Abe's Odyssey for lack of talking people. And it's great. It's great to talk.
Great to talk to you too.
Thank you very much for putting up with my bullshit, everyone. And yeah, nice to talk, Richard. I'm actually bowing. You just can't see me bowing, but I'm actually bowing back at you.
Okay. Brother, we'll see you tonight. You know, send me a little bit of heads up, maybe 12 hours of notice. We'll create a show like this, and we'll just talk about anything you want. How's that?
Well, I wanted to do a Sunday night stream tonight, so you've just fulfilled my dream for tonight, man. I'm totally going to steal this and murder it on my channel.
Oh, please do. Please do.
So yeah, Sundays and Wednesdays. That's my crack. Wow,
that'd be great. Okay.
So if you're up for a bit of banter on Wednesday, we can do the same on maybe my channel, man.
Yeah, we'll have a crack and you
Crack.
can
CRAIC.
CRAIC crack. Okay.
Just a banter. Bit of banter. Hey.
A banter. Yeah, we'll have banter. I love chickens. Chickens are awesome.
And saying that, Matt, would you find it interesting? I recently moved depots, and one of the first things that the new guy that worked there with me was like, "I've that many chickens. Would you like some eggs?" And they're Banty chickens. So there you go.
Yeah.
He gave me 18 eggs for free. Right. Talk to you later.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. Thank you so much, MathPig. I hope we can do this again very soon.
See you all later. Night.
Cheers, all.